play my intro. Now it's time for the Robb Johnson Sports Show, presented by Robb Johnson Media and the Legacy Maker Sports Network.
Welcome to Atlanta.
Welcome to Atlanta where the players play.
Welcome to Atlanta where the players play.
Yep, I hope y'all like. I'm gonna show it to y'all. For those of you who don't recognize what this is, it's true.
Welcome to Atlanta.
Welcome to Atlanta where the players play.
Welcome to Atlanta where the players play.
I cut off the rest of the stuff, but I put in there, welcome to Atlanta where the players play. Yes, sir. First of all, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Robb Johnson Sports Show, episode 114. Again, 114. I am very happy for you all to be with me today here on episode 114 of the Robb Johnson Sports Show. Welcome to 114. Welcome to another edition of the Robb Johnson Sports Show. I am Robb Johnson, of course. Make sure you check out Robb Johnson Media and the Legacy Maker Sports Network. So, earlier today, we had breaking news. This is around the time the WNBA has started free agency. WNBA draft is coming up here very soon. Today is when it is announced that Angel Reese will be traded to the Atlanta Dream from the Chicago Sky, a Chicago Sky team who I feel like they're not appreciating Angel Reese. I feel like a team that's going to lose Camila Cardoso here very soon as well. A team that had Chinity Carter, a team that who fired Teresa Weatherspoon, one of the great players in the history of the WNBA, when she played for the New York Liberty, hit one of the most famous shots in not just women's basketball history, but in sports history when she beat the Comets with that crazy half-court or even back half-court shot where she beat the Houston Comets. They let her go even though she brought a new attitude and a new focus to Chicago. They didn't give her much time at all. So, again, Angel Reese going to the Chicago Sky, to the Atlanta Dream in that trade. Her points per game have gotten better every year. Rebounds, of course. People like to make fun of the rebounds, but I just think that that stems from a certain national championship game that we won't really get into. We're not going to talk about that, so that's not important at this time. So, what we are going to talk about today is we're going to start out with what happened yesterday. And what happened yesterday probably was the beatdown of the year. The beatdown of the year, we had UCLA, the women UCLA Lady Bruins defeating the South Carolina Gamecocks. Now, folks, when you look at the game and you look at everything that transpired, here's the thing. Here's the entire thing, and I think I put up the wrong shout out to GGS Sports for the photo here. UCLA wins the first national championship. I actually think I put the wrong caption up. I was supposed to have another picture, but oh well. I guess you all can just we can just roll with it. It's all good. But anyway, that's what you got. Sometimes you're editing and doing certain things, and certain stuff doesn't get put up, but it's all good. Anyway, the thing is that with this game, UCLA had lost one game the entire season. They came off a game against Texas where they avenged their only loss of the season. South Carolina, for me, had more of an emotional toll. Because not only are you dealing with this fact that you have your coach who is basically going against Gina Auriemma after the game, which I didn't make too much of a big deal about it, but there are some emotions that goes with that. You beat UConn, an undefeated UConn team who had not lost in so long that I can't even remember the last time they lost. Emotional game, but when you looked at it, when you look at the team, just like tonight, when you look at this Michigan team that we have coming in tonight against UConn, UCLA was the better team. UCLA was the more talented team. UCLA had things and elements that South Carolina just did not have. They were more physical than South Carolina. It felt like they brought the fight more than South Carolina did. South Carolina to me looked drained. 2 nights after the emotional game, beating UConn. Whenever you're a women's team and you beat UConn, it's gonna take a toll on you. I don't care what anybody says. In this game, if you even look at the field goals, I'm gonna go down the team stats for you here. Some important team stats. From field goals, 43% for UCLA, 28% for South Carolina. Put that more in perspective. On field goals, South Carolina was 18 of 62. 18 of 62, while UCLA was 30 of 69. 3-pointers, South Carolina made 2. 2 of 15 from three-point land. 8 of 19 for UCLA. That's 6 more 3-pointers. That's all. That's crazy. When you talk about the free throws, what Gino was talking about, like the free throws, who was shooting more free throws. South Carolina actually shot 13 of 17, which is 76%. UCLA was more efficient with 11-13, but still South Carolina shot more free throws. Rebounds, 49 to 37 in way of UCLA. You have to think about that with Betts and all the other players they have that are big and can get to the board. So you had to expect that. Assist, 23 to 9 in the way of UCLA. Steals, 7 to 6. Blocks, 5 to 4. Not really a big deal. Turnovers, South Carolina had 14. UCLA had 13. Didn't really matter in that aspect. Points in the paint, 40 to 28. About a 12-point difference. You can't really look at that too much. Second chance points, 25 to 12. UCLA. Fast break points, 11 to 6. Points off turnovers, 19 to 10. Not really a big disparity. But here's the biggest thing. The biggest lead of the game was 35 points by UCLA. UCLA dominated this game. Again, they were the better team. They were the more controlled team. I feel like at times Don Staley got a little bit outcoached there, but again, it's really hard to outcoach a Don Staley. So for me, I look at this game and I look at everything. UCLA just was better. A team that I felt like could have been undefeated. And they had that loss earlier to Texas. UConn, if we had got undefeated UConn, the undefeated UCLA, that would have been an epic game. But I feel like either way, even if UConn had beaten South Carolina, I feel like the beatdown that South Carolina gave UConn would have been given in the national championship game. Again, just like tonight, I think Michigan is the better team. I think Michigan is the more talented team. And I think we're going to get 2 straight dominant performances from 2 really good basketball teams. I've called Michigan the UNLV of this era as far as their team back in 1990, that team with Larry Johnson, Sabian Augman, the crew. Oh, my God, how good they were, beating Duke by 30. I don't think Michigan's going to beat UConn by 30, but I could definitely see 15 to 20 where they could beat UConn. UConn's got to get out early. UConn's got to defend the perimeter. UConn has to muck it up with Michigan. But I'm going to say this, and I make jokes and make fun of Stephen A. Not make fun, but on my other channel, have a good little fun. Robb Johnson Entertainment is my little funny channel I do. I'm trying to get more into that here as we go. Got a pretty decent following. But what he said was so true. If Michigan is making their shots, there is no one in America that can beat them. And that is critical. If Michigan is making their shots, ladies and gentlemen, I don't care what kind of game plan Danny Hurley has. I don't care what kind of scheme he has. It's not going to matter. However, let me say this. If Dan Hurley wins this game tonight, I repeat, if Dan Hurley wins this game tonight, you're going to have to start having the conversation. I know Coach Wooden. I know Coach Krzyzewski. I get it. Bobby Knight, I get it. Adolph Rupp, I get it. Some of the great coaches, some of the great names in college basketball history. But if Dan Hurley, who in this NCAA tournament beat Duke, you go against a Michigan team who not only beat down Arizona, who was undefeated most of the season, but dismantled Arizona. Not just beat Arizona, they dismantled Arizona. If you have a coach, Dan Hurley, who goes out and he schemes it up so well that his guys, who are a good basketball team, but they are nowhere near the talent of Michigan. Let's keep that. Let's be very honest. If they go out and they beat Michigan tonight, Dan Hurley has got to be considered as one of the greatest coaches we've ever seen in college basketball history, because the things he's done, was it 3 out of 4? It would be 3 out of 4. Of course, again, we know John Wooden, the things he did with UCLA, etc. But to do it in this era, the NIL era, where everybody knows you're spending the big bucks, and for him to come out and for him to actually get this done against that Michigan, against that UNLV type of Michigan team, oh boy, I'm telling you right now, folks, we are going to have to start having some discussions on our hands, and that is just the truth there. Now, next topic, we're going to go to Dawn Staley, and we're going to ask this question. I've asked it before. I've put the opinion out there. Just want to know from you folks, is Dawn Staley ready to go to the NBA? I feel like South Carolina she's done so much for South Carolina and built so much for that city. I mean, for that state and that town and everything. It's like, when are we going to give this woman an opportunity at something that she truly deserves, which I believe is a head coaching spot in the National Basketball Association? Now let's look at some of the teams. I'm going to go, even though these couple of teams are still in the bubble. I mean, they're in the playoffs. I'm not going to do that. So let's look at some of the bottom teams. We got Memphis, Dallas, the Pelicans, the Kings, and the Jazz. I don't see her going to any of those teams. I just don't. I don't see her going to any of those teams, Western Conference, etc. You look at the Milwaukee Bucks, the Bulls, the Nets, the Pacers, the Wizards. I could definitely see her possibly going to a Brooklyn. When you think of tough, when you think of somebody, because let's be clear, they're not getting rid of Nick Nurse in Philadelphia anytime soon. So if you look at a team in the NBA, I think that she could fit. I think Dawn Staley could fit the Brooklyn Nets. She fits that Brooklyn style, etc. You know, she's from Philly. Now, as if you all remember my show, going back maybe about, I give about 6 months ago, I did say this, that the WNBA has got to have a more concerted effort to get some of these big name coaches, especially these big name women coaches, in the WNBA. When Philadelphia is going to be an expansion team in the WNBA, I think it's 29 or 30. It's between 28 and 30, because they got a couple of expansion teams coming out. If you are the WNBA, if you have the opportunity, because I had kind of floated out there, that Dawn Staley was going to go back to Virginia and all that, but that's not going to happen now. That's just not going to happen now. So that's just one of those things where you don't really look at it as realistic. But yeah, I'm going to pull up here the expansion here, because that's what's going to be happening here coming soon. If I can remember those teams, let me see, Philadelphia. So the WNBA officially announced on June 30th of 2025 that Philadelphia will become the league's 18th team, set to begin and play in 2030. So if, and this is just if, Dawn Staley does not get a NBA head coaching job, which I think is going to be hard still, because being a woman, and I hate to bring the gender into it, but it's the truth. It's being a woman, it's going to be kind of hard for her to get a job in the NBA. But if you are the WNBA, if you are the owner of the upcoming franchise, Philadelphia, you've got to make an effort not only to get Dawn Staley there. You want to get Philadelphia. You want to make Philadelphia home. You want to make Philadelphia one of those places where it becomes a hub for women's sports, because we have the Sixers, we got the Eagles, we got the Flyers. Philadelphia, no matter what anybody likes to say, when it comes to sports, is very important when it comes to the overall brand of overall sports, the watch, because of the fans, the controversies, etc., etc. You all know what it is to be a fan against a team who likes Philadelphia. And to have Dawn Staley, I believe, in the WNBA at that time is so important. And here's the thing. I'm trying. Is this what 2026, 27? I believe around that time, and I'm not completely sure. But one of my favorite players coming into this year's NCAA is going to be Olivia Edwards. I believe by the time 2029, 2030 comes, Olivia Edwards is going to be a senior. So I'm hoping that Olivia Edwards ends up Big O goes to the Philadelphia franchise and that Dawn Staley is a coach and she's able to coach her. It would be even cooler because Big O just decommitted from Tennessee. Hell, everybody's decommitting from Tennessee at this point. You understand what I'm saying? So what I look at is that if she ends up going to a South Carolina, then I truly, truly believe that that could be a relationship that could go into the WNBA. Who knows? But just want to give Dawn Staley some love because, of course, she is one of the great coaches in this game, women's game. So we got to give her some love. We got to give her some consideration. So that's how that goes. Now, ladies and gentlemen, next topic. We are actually going to go to the top 5 NFL coaches who are on the freaking hot seat. Yes. Some of them you may like, some of them you may not like. Listen, I'm sorry. If your team is on this list, I can't help you. But all I can do is give you this. If your team is on this list, I'm sorry. Now, we're going to take you a quick break here. Get this message here from Latour's clothing brand. It starts from within. Hey guys, this is Robb Johnson from Robb Johnson Media. I just want to let you guys know Latour's, one of the best brands out there for activewear. No matter if you're hiking, running, playing golf, playing tennis, it doesn't matter what you're doing. When you have on this right here, ladies and gentlemen, trust me, you feel good and your performance will be great. Latour's, check it out today at latours.com. Oh, and I am back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Robb Johnson Sports Show. Giving you guys a few seconds. Again, giving you guys a few seconds for those who are about to hear that your coach is on the hot seat. Again, here you go. All right. If you're ready, I'm ready. Again, I please don't send me any crazy messages. Please. Everybody out there, do not send me any crazy messages. All right, we're going to go with the first coach here. I didn't want to do this. I really did not want to do this. Now, on some NFL sites, they actually got this guy number 1, which I think is absolutely crazy. But hey, what can you do? So, but I had to go. I had to do this. I really, really, really had to do this. At number 5, we have Aaron Glenn, head coach of the New York Jets. Ah, boy, I tell you. So I'm going to read this off for you guys. I did some research and read these things off for you guys. So this is from Fox Sports. There's a good case to be made that Glenn will be a one-and-done coach after the Jets' disastrous 3-14 season instead of Woody Johnson showed surprised patience despite a bumper crop of potential replacements. See, this is this thing that really gets to me, right? This is the thing that really, really freaking bothers me. This team, the New York Jets, have been a disaster for a long time. Now, last year, they had the opportunity to beat the Bucks. They were in some other games. If you remember, the first game of the season, they had the Steelers beat. They had the Pittsburgh Steelers beat. And then things just went haywire. They tried to. Justin Fields was doing okay. He ended up getting hurt. I hate the fact that Aaron Glenn is at number 5 because I feel like he didn't really get the credit he deserved in Detroit. I feel like that people just dismissed him. It was all Ben Johnson. but he had a big role in what the Detroit Lions were. The Lions don't look the same on defense. The Lions don't look like the same intense team without Aaron Glenn. And for the Jets, if you're going to get rid of a coach after 1 year, what are you really doing as a football franchise? We talk about the Cowboys. We talk about the Browns. We talk about the Jets. I'm sorry, not the Jets. Yeah, we talk about them sometimes. We talk about the Giants. We talk about all these teams, the Bengals, who, they don't spin and they're cheap and they don't know what to do, blah, blah, blah. There is nobody like the Jets who have not won a Super Bowl since when? Joe Namath? They haven't won a championship since Joe Namath, who shouldn't even be in the Hall of Fame? I digress. At number 4, Shane Steichen. Oh boy, you want to talk about a coach who really should be on the hot seat now, because especially what they did this offseason, where they gave big money to Daniel Jones. So, if you all remember, they're saying on this website that, hey, Daniel Jones was playing like an MVP candidate. He was playing pretty well, but guess what? We started to see the wheels fall off. They were 8-2. 8-2. Lost all majority of their games down the stretch. Did not make the playoffs. Shane Steichen. All I can say about this is that, yes, they've done a good job developing receivers, developing that defense. Horrible job developing Anthony Richardson. He was young. He showed flashes. He kept getting hurt. This new ownership group, and that's the thing a lot of you need to realize, a lot of these new ownership groups where they're passing down to the son or the daughter, their patience is very, very thin. Very thin. So if you're Shane Steichen, you better get together, buddy, very quickly. Because if you don't, you're going to be on the street. And that's just bottom line. The Colts want to start winning again. And they really haven't won. I mean, they won a little bit with Andrew Luck, but they haven't really won since Peyton Manning. So, got to get that together, Shane Steichen. At number 3, this should not be a surprise to anybody. Todd Bowles. Why is Todd Bowles still the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? I need someone to explain to me, and I'm looking around, why is Todd Bowles still the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Do you know last year they choked away an opportunity to win the putrid NFC South? Shout out to Carolina. But Atlanta lost Michael Penix. There were quarterback issues. And here's the problem if you're Tampa Bay. The Saints are going to be good this year. A lot of people don't think the Saints are going to be good because they don't see it coming. But your guy, Robb Johnson Media, he sees the Saints coming. I also know that the Carolina Panthers are going to get better. I also know that the Atlanta Falcons are going to be better. So your window you had, 2 years, 3 years? It's over. Those teams in the South are going to get better. You can talk about Tua all you want to, but he is still a multi-time Pro Bowler. Understand, he is still a multi-time Pro Bowler. And with those weapons in that dome, you don't have to worry about the elements. You're playing in the South. Yeah, of course, he's playing in Miami. Yeah, he always played good in Miami because it was decent in Miami because it was warm weather. We went up to New England. He ain't got to go up to New England no more. He's playing in a dome in Atlanta, a dome in New Orleans. He's playing in the warm weather in Tampa Bay and the warm weather in Carolina. Carolina can get cold sometimes, but majority of the year it's like that. Again, if you are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, how do you justify Todd Bowles still being your coach? Mike Evans just walked in the door. You think Mike Evans just walked in the door because he wanted to walk out the door? No. Mike Evans walked out the door because of the simple fact I don't think he can take this crap anymore. This team is too talented. Yes, they've had injuries. Trust me, they've had the injuries. But this team was too talented, too good to not make the playoffs. It could be a Baker Mayfield issue. Baker Mayfield, I've been told by everybody, is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I've been told that Baker Mayfield is elite. But I don't see it. He has his downfalls. Is it all his fault? No. Mike Evans went to San Francisco. Did he look a little bit older? Yes, he did. Did the defense let them down last year? Yes, they did. But ultimately, Baker Mayfield's number one overall pick. And ultimately, Todd Bowles needs to get things handled. That game against the Atlanta Falcons on Thursday Night Football, oh, my God. You talk to any Tampa Bay. If I could bring a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan on this live right now, and we could talk to you just how disastrous, just how just disrespect, just how bad that game was against the Falcons. You win that game, folks. Not saying you wrap the division up, but you kind of get some headway. Like, I believe they beat Seattle last year, the eventual Super Bowl champions. The talent is there, but something's missing. I've never been a Todd Bowles fan. I'm not going to get in my soapbox like Stephen A. Oh, I cheer for the black coaches, blah, blah. I'm not doing all that, man. It ain't about that. It's about, can you coach or can you not coach? And Todd Bowles continues to fumble the ball. In the story. Ain't got nothing to do with nothing else. Let's go to number 2. At number 2, Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn, a guy who we know about, who is a really good head coach. He really is. But we've seen in his other stops that Dan Quinn starts out really well. Daniel Quinn starts out very, very well. And then what happens? The ship starts to go down. And here's the problem if you're Dan Quinn. If you're Dan Quinn, you still have a quarterback who's on his rookie contract. If Jaden Daniels gets screwed up in Washington, if he gets hurt to the point where his body cannot take the NFL grind and he cannot take Washington to where they were a few years back when Jaden Daniels took the Washington Commanders to the NFC Championship game. It had nothing to do with Dan Quinn. Let's get that corrected right now, because let's just be real about this. The Washington defense was decent that first year, but it wasn't great. Who have they drafted? They've drafted decently. But if you are Dan Quinn, you go from the NFC Championship game to where you were last year. And the reason I have him at number 2, again, is because, yes, they had injuries last year. We got it. But, folks, if you know you're playing in the NFL, what do you need to do? If you're playing in the NFL and if you're a coach, what do you need to do? You need to make sure you got good backups. You need to make sure that the players behind the starters are prepared. You need to make sure that your quarterback is prepared, who is not a starter. The whole team needs to be prepared. It's not just about the 11 on the field and the other 11 on the field. Offense, defense. It's about those other guys. It's about those other guys on that 53, 60-man roster. Are they prepared? Are they prepared? And quite simply, the Washington Commanders just did not look prepared last year. They looked old. They looked slow. They had some moments. You could be proud of. They took the Denver Broncos, who eventually played the New England Patriots in the AFC Championship game, to overtime. It's the NFL. Things happen in the NFL. Everybody has the same talent level. Even if you have backups, they have talent, so you have to get them prepared. This is not the NBA where your G League comes on the court and they get blown up by 30. You can have a decent number of NFL players who are backups that can still be competitive, because it's the National Football League. Everybody has to be competitive, and that's the bottom line on that. So they didn't look prepared. We know Dan Quinn's history going from Seattle to going to Atlanta as a head coach. We know that Dan Quinn lost that Super Bowl 28-3. It wasn't the same after. He has a history of going places, starting out really high and then low. Saw that in Seattle. The defense was really good for a while. And then what happened? So that's why I have him at number 2. But, ladies and gentlemen, at number 1, I'm not going to say this is fairly obvious, but this is who I have at number 1. Drum roll, please. This guy. I got to take a drink before I start talking about this guy. So, when you talk about Zach Taylor, a guy who has taken his team to the Super Bowl, a guy who has Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. You talk about a guy who has got so many chances as a head coach in the National Football League to lead this talented Bengals team. I'm just going to tell you now, if the Bengals go out bad this year, not only is Zach Taylor going to get fired, Joe Burrow is going to ask for a trade. Jamar Chase is going to ask for a trade. They haven't been the same since they lost Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon was more than just a running back. He was a leader in that locker room, and he brought a toughness to the locker room. Here's the other thing. You can't put everything on Zach Taylor. You can't. You got to look at ownership. Look at the whole Trey Henderson situation. Gosh, if that had been Dallas, can you imagine what the talking points ESPN would have had? Jesus Christ. Anyway, besides all that, the Cincinnati Bengals, ladies and gentlemen, are too good. They are too talented to be having these seasons where these things are happening, where they are losing early and are not accomplishing anything. I get it. Joe Burrow was hurt, but this goes back to what I said before. It's about the offseason. Who do you bring in the offseason that you can trust that can run your program? How are you coaching them? Are you giving them attention? Are you giving them reps? Folks, I understand the training camp. You give reps to your starting quarterback. But you're telling me that, let's say you went through free agency. Let's say you got your backup quarterback. Let's say your backup quarterback's been there for years. I believe it's Jake Browning. I believe he's still in Cincinnati, if I'm not mistaken. You mean to tell me during volunteer workouts, you mean to tell me that the coach can't call the backup quarterback and say, hey, look, what's what we're going to do? I want you to meet me somewhere. We're going to meet somewhere. I know we can't do off-season workouts, but we're going to meet somewhere. And we're gonna do some throwing. I'm gonna call Jamar. I'm gonna call Higgins. I'm saying, look, we know Joe Burrow's a starter, but just in case, we want you guys to get a rhythm. We want you guys to get some of that continuity in the offseason. You do it where nobody can see you, but we're millionaires. We got plenty of money. We can make it happen. Little stuff like that. Listen, it goes back to who wants it and who doesn't want it. Jerry Rice used to work out in the offseason to the point of exhaustion. He would make guys throw up. He would make guys want to quit because it's about the work. You can't just show up in training camp and just start doing stuff. You can't. It's about the offseason program. It's about what your ownership group is all about. I'm not saying the Bengals don't work hard. I'm not saying they don't work hard at all. Not saying that. But what I'm saying is if you want to ultimately be great in this game of football, especially today where it's getting harder and harder to win, and that was just a little example I was given, just as one of those throwing something out there, letting it stick, because you got to be able to have I'm not saying cheat, but you have to have every advantage you can have going into an NFL season. The Bengals were not prepared last year. Yeah, they had little winning streaks here and there, but the Bengals, they played the Buffalo Bills very tough in that snow game. But again, this is make or break for the Cincinnati Bengals. If Cincinnati if they do not make the playoffs this year, now I'll give you this. Let's say the Bengals are competitive, win 9 10 games, but they miss out. Let's say because Joe Burrow missed a game or something happened, blah, 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 whatever. Then you could probably see Zach Taylor getting another opportunity. But I just don't feel like around the country that we're seeing enough pressure on a Zach Taylor. We're hearing about Nick Sirianni. I'm like, Sirianni just won a Super Bowl 2 years ago. He's been in 2 Super Bowls as a head coach. He actually won one of those Super Bowls. Zach Taylor has not. The defense in Cincinnati is horrible, and you can say the coordinator here, the coordinator there, but ultimately it is on your head coach who controls the whole team to get everything together. So if you're Zach Taylor, either get things together or you will be fired going into 2027. That is the bottom line. I can't make it any more clear for you. You got too much talent on that football team. Ridiculous. Anyway, let's go to the next topic. All right, let's talk about the top 10 players in the NBA draft coming up, and then we're going to give you the women. I'm just going to let you guys know that I am going to do my WNBA special, the WNBA draft, who do I think those players are going to, where those players are going to go. But just as a reminder, you know, that now, since the Angel Reese trade happened, that those picks are going to go to Chicago Sky. So whatever picks the Atlanta Dream had are going to go to the Chicago Sky, which should help them build. So this is according to CBS Sports. Now, this may change, but I can kind of agree with this list right now. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but right now I do agree with this list. I'm not going to make any changes to either the men or women. When it comes time to the draft and I reveal my draft, then I will give you my top 10 players. But right now, when I looked at the list, I was like, you know what? I respect these lists, especially a guy like Darren Peterson, who I feel like has gotten a bad rap the entire year. I think that even though Darren Peterson should have done some things a little differently, the landscape in college basketball has changed. And when he was on the court and he was playing well, Kansas was playing good basketball. But let's just be honest, Kansas is not the same basketball team they were this year. They've been in years past. I think that's almost a fact, folks. That's a fact there, you know. So if you're looking at this list right now, you're looking at the players. Do you all have any disagreements? Do you have any do you have anything where you feel like it is any indifference? If you all have any indifference, just, you know, I'll let you all go through our list. Let me know. I'm going to give you all 30 seconds. Now, this is the women's list right here. I'm going to go through it, show you the women's list, and show the men's list, women's list one more time, and let me know if you have any indifference. Again, this is the women's list right here. Let me know if you have any indifference. Give me your comments. What do you think about this list? Top 10 men and women players in this year's WNBA and NBA draft. Again, these are the top 10 players. We're looking at them right here. In my opinion, my favorite player, AJ DeBonza from BYU. I think he's going to be a really good player going to this draft. For the women, I definitely think Lauren Betts should be the best player coming here. The Our fam, very underrated. Very, very underrated. And also Tanaya Latson, South Carolina, who played at Florida State. I think she's a hell of a player as well. So, again, those are the top 10. Those are the top 10 there. Legacy Maker Sports Network, Robb Johnson Media, bringing you another production here. I can get you another song. Here we go. Yeah, That's my joint right there. I love that one. All the Legacy Maker Sports Network music. Love it. Love my intro. Great job by everybody who has put this production together today. So again, those are the two top 10 players from both sides. I know it's complicated because I feel like this draft is going to be complicated. It's going to be a very consequential draft because if you don't hit, oh my God, if you don't hit on this draft, whether you're in the NBA or WNBA, I am telling you now, if you're a GM, you're going to lose your job. You're going to lose it. I'm sorry. I never advocate for anybody. Honest to God, I never advocate for anybody to lose their job. But guys, seriously, man, like it's just like, yo, man, there's just some things in life where you just got to be real with yourself. You know, you got to be real with yourself, man. Like this draft, especially on the men's side, is so good. Like look at this. Like look, I'm gonna show you this again. I'm gonna show you guys this list one more time. Because to me, I'm gonna show you both these lists again. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Look at those names, man. Look at those names, man. You even go down to the bottom. Looking at a Nate Amos, Markel Brown from Louisville. Looking at the women's side, look at that. Look at that. That's ridiculous. Olivia Miles at number 3. That's absolutely crazy, man. You are looking at potentially. You're looking at I'm not. You know what? Screw it. I'm not even gonna say probably. You are looking at a generational draft. This is a generational draft. This is not one of those drafts where it's like, oh, we can just do whatever, pick anybody or whatever. No, folks, this is a generational draft that will have consequences for a long time. And that is no hyperbole. That is no me out here trying to lie to you guys or make this sound good for camera. No, this is a generational draft. Somebody's going to get a good player. You even look at Indiana, for example. They're getting Halliburton back. Can you imagine they get AJ DeBonza and put him with Halliburton, and you're still going to add those pieces that we know Indiana can add? They'll be right back into the top 5 out of the East next year. They'll be right back bringing hell to the New York Knicks. Folks, this is – you got to – if you're a sports fan and you are not excited for, one, the WNBA draft and the NBA draft, I really don't know if you like sports or not. Maybe you do. But I don't think you do, because the players that are coming into this draft are going to define the sport, the professional sports for the next 10 to 15 years, respectively. So let's go to something I wanted to get to all day. Is my favorite part. I'm about to get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, the UFL. Oh boy, I tell you. And you want to talk about a fire weekend. Oh, it was a fire weekend. It was totally fire. I really don't know what else to say. It was very, very fire. I'm trying to get my logo off. But it was very fire, and everything that happened this weekend was so good. It was so good, especially when you talk about DC coming back, being able to not only avenge what happened in week 1 against a very good St. Louis team, who, by the way, play Dallas tomorrow night, FS1, 8 o'clock. You got to check that game out. You got to check it out. DC Defenders defeat the Columbus Aviators 44-26. The reason this game was so daggone good was because the Defenders did something that I needed them to do in week 1, but they couldn't do, which is do what, ladies and gentlemen? Run the daggone football. DC ran the football. They used Temu to actually use what he's best at, which is the RPO game. I'll say this: when the DC defenders use the use that type of offense where they're running, they're gunning, and they use the RPO, it is very, very hard to beat this team. I even had a DC Defenders fan come on and say, "We're going to get St. Louis back in a few weeks." Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, look, man, I get it. I understand that you want to get back at St. Louis. Here's the problem. Here's the problem when you talk about that. You cannot take a week off in the UFL. The UFL, there are no easy games, folks. Just, I understand everybody thinks that, this is just one of those whatever leagues. No, this is a league where you got to bring it every week. So here are the stats from this game. Here's some of the important stats. DC had 320 yards to Columbus's 282. Pass yards, Columbus had 156 to 99 from DC. Rush yards. This is where you guys are really going to look at me and be like, wow, are you serious right now? DC had 230 yards rushed on the ground, while Columbus had 161. Columbus had 8 penalties. Washington had 4 penalties. Red zone. Columbus was 4-4 in the red zone, while DC was 3 of 6. So they could have actually made this score a lot worse. One thing that I didn't like was that they fumbled the ball 3 times. Both teams fumbled the ball 3 times and lost 2 of those. So that's something that both teams still have to clean up, in my opinion. You look at the game Deion Jackson had for DC. 11 carries, 97 yards, 3 touchdowns. Did absolutely everything he wanted to do. Jordan Temu, quarterback, 7 carries, 20 yards. He really didn't do much on the ground, but he was effective enough to get them to win. So that was the most important thing if you were DC. You win this game 44-26. You get back to playing DC football. We're going to talk more tomorrow about week 3. Actually, I'm going to try to wait till probably Wednesday. We'll talk about week 3 because we need to get past the St. Louis game against Dallas, which is going to be probably one of the best games so far of this young season. Now, let's get to Orlando and Louisville. That game was no, sorry. Yeah, that was the Saturday game. I'm thinking that was the Sunday game. That was the Saturday game because I actually watched that game, most of it. Felt sorry for Louisville. Louisville does not have a bad defense. That's the thing that really kind of bothers me when you talk about this Louisville team. They don't have a bad defense. Their defense is actually really, really good in a lot of ways. The problem is, they held them, to 279 yards total. Pass yards was equal at 101. Orlando ran the ball for 89 yards. Rush yards, again, Louisville struggled, only rushing the ball for 26 yards. You cannot do that. Both teams were not good in the red zone. Orlando was 0 of 2, while Louisville was 0 of 1. Watch this game. There were some. I'm trying to let me see if I actually have this right, because if I was correct, and 9 penalties. Louisville had 9 penalties to 5, and I don't know what Louisville has to do to get that offense going, but they're gonna have to do something. I was not impressed. You look at the numbers. Chandler Rogers, 13 of 20, 152, 1 interception. Jason Bean, who started the game, I believe it was, Jason Bean started the game, but Chandler Rogers came in. Rogers had a 65% completion percentage, while Bean had 26.7, but still, neither quarterback played to their actual potential. Jake Plummer, very impressed by him. He actually threw a really good touchdown before the half, where I was really, really impressed by his ability to get the football down the field. And that touchdown was actually to KJ Hamler, who, if I'm correct, was in the NFL and played with Seattle. He caught some type of crossing route, and it felt like everybody else was just in slow motion. He gets to the end zone, scores, and he's talking after they're trying to talk to him after the play happened on the sidelines. You could tell he was out of breath. But he had 3 targets on the night, two catches, but that touchdown, very critical. Elijah Badger, who I talked about last week, had another touchdown this week, 4 catches, 59 yards. He's having a good season. This entire Orlando Storm receiving core is really good. And like I said, both teams have decent defenses. You look at Louisville, Jaheim Thomas, 12 tackles, 10 solo. Makai Garner, 7 tackles. Travis Bell, 7 tackles. See, Louisville gets after you. I like the physicality of this Louisville team. I love the physicality of this Louisville team. They just keep shooting themselves in the foot with the mistakes. And with it only being 10 games, folks, you cannot make those mistakes. You just can't. So if you're Louisville, we'll see what they can do coming up in week 3. Again, we'll get into the week 3 games coming up on Wednesday when you talk about Robb Johnson's Sports Show, episode 116. We have episode 115 tomorrow. Told you guys, we're grinding. We're working hard out here. Now, the game of the weekend. Wow. You want to talk about a game that was physical? You want to talk about a game between two teams? Listen, folks, here's the thing. When the UFL and XFL were split, right? You had people who dreamed. They were like, Birmingham, Houston, we want to see these teams collide. And folks, Houston has not been the same. We get that. And you can almost look back at the pandemic in a way and say, this team has not been the same. But folks, for this game, what we saw between these two franchises, you can only hope and imagine and dream that we can get ourselves a champion. That we get ourselves a championship game with these two in the UFL in the future. This game gets a round of applause for sure. It also gets this. The reason it got that heartbeat, let me play the heartbeat one more time for you. The reason it got that heartbeat is for one reason and one reason only. This game was good. It was a great game all game long. When you talk about how good this game was, when you talk about how intense it was, you go to the box score, and that's all you got to do is go to the box score, and you can see just how well these teams played. Both teams, Houston, 407 yards total. Birmingham had 287. And you have to ask yourself, what does that contribute to? When you look at Birmingham has. I'm not going to sit here and crap over Matt Corral. I'm not going to do that. But you got to start asking yourself this simple question. Does Matt Corral still move the needle? I mean, he had 226 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Is he still a very good quarterback in this league? Yes, he is. Are you going to get rid of Matt Corral tomorrow? No, you're not. He's been too valuable and been too good for so long for this Birmingham Stallions team. But guys, some of the errors that were made in this game by Birmingham, quite simply, Birmingham should be 2-0 today. They should be 2-0 today, but they're not. And to me, it's a big time shame. 2 turnovers compared to 1 from Birmingham. Ridiculous. When you talk about, let's see if I can get penalties. Again, folks, with the penalties. 9 penalties from Birmingham to just 4 from Houston. Here's the other thing. 26 first downs for Houston. Now you ask yourself, what happened in this game that came down, and why did I give you the heartbeat? Well, I will tell you why. And I was actually going to do the video for this, but I was not trying to get too much of a copyright. I already did the Angel Reese video. So John Holland from 50 yards. You think about that for a second. All right, you're playing in the UFL. You're trying to impress NFL teams who potentially will who would potentially will sign you. You are undrafted out of Wyoming, the 2025 draft. You were with the Baltimore Ravens in 2025 for a brief time, whatever. You go to Houston, and you were first team All Western, All Mountain West in 2022, second team in 2020. Okay, you're 23 years old. You're from Broomfield, Colorado. You're John Holland, and you kick a clutch 50-yard field goal. For me, folks, this week of UFL football proved one thing. For all you doubters out there, for you people out there who continue to bash the league, it's not working. You can talk about the attendance all you want to. Yes, at some stadiums they weren't great. You can talk about this and that. But folks, I love the UFL. I will continue every week on this platform to talk about the UFL. It's football, folks. I mean, everybody's complaining we missed the NFL. It's football, folks. And it's good football. It's teamed. It's think about this. You're basically looking at guys on the football field who are trying to go to the NFL. You have guys who are starting to become career UFL players where you're looking at them like, man, this guy can actually do something. You look at some of your favorite young NFL players. I'll give you this example for a second. You look at Shedeur Sanders. Let's say he doesn't play next year. Let's say he plays or he struggles. You think Shedeur Sanders going to the UFL and playing is not going to bring eyeballs? You think that the UFL in the future, if they can continue to try to get some of these bigger name players, especially think about it, folks, with NIL now, with these players making millions of dollars, and let's say you are not going to, for better lack of terms, get the best draft spot, you can go to the UFL. I don't know. I have to see what the rules are if you can still get drafted. But let's say you want to skip the draft. Maybe go to UFL. Bet on yourself. Play in the league. Maybe you can get drafted. Maybe you'll be turned to free agent. I got to go look at the rules about that and talk to some of my expert friends when it comes to the logistics and things like that. But when you look at the UFL, when you look at some of these players, when you look at this, what they're doing, like tomorrow night, you look at Austin Reed, one of the most exciting players coming out of week one. And just to remind you, they did that. They beat down a team like Houston. They beat down that Houston team. Now that we're looking at Houston, what they did to Birmingham, you're like, ooh, maybe Dallas is for real. Maybe the Dallas Renegades are for real. And folks, again, we are in for one hell of a football game tomorrow night. I cannot promote this game enough. We have Battle Hawks. We Dallas Renegades tomorrow night on FS1. I wish that game was on ABC. I just lost connection. Are you serious? This is my first hour show I've done in a long time, and I'm gonna lose connection. Are you serious? Are you serious right now? Anyway, what I was talking about basically, man, tomorrow night, Battle Hawks, Renegades, game of the week. I'll give you the UFL week game of the week on Wednesday. But let's go ahead and move on, folks. Like I said, as we are an hour into this show, the next topic, if I'm not mistaken, let's see here. We've done the NFL. We've done everything else here. As my little scroll comes through, I will give you all the next topic because, like I said, a lot of things went into the show. A lot of preparation went into the show. So I am just making sure I have everything here. All right, there we go. If it'll come up. Knicks and Hawks tonight on Peacock. That game is actually going to be in the next 24 minutes. We have the Atlanta Hawks against the New York Knicks. And all I basically, folks, want to say about this game is to me, it's justification. I told people that if Atlanta Hawks get into the playoffs, they're going to pose trouble for the Knicks. Do I think the Atlanta Hawks are going to win the first round series? No. Do I think the Atlanta Hawks are building for the future? Yes, I do. I think there's a team you got to pay attention to. I believe that what they're building right now in Atlanta is it's no joke. If you think it's a joke, then you're playing an April Fool's joke on yourself. Right now, if the playoffs start today, the Atlanta Hawks would be the 5th seed. Now, if I'm looking at the conference, the Atlanta Hawks are 12 games behind the 1st seed Pistons, but to actually, for them, they're locked in. Right now, the only team that can catch them are the Sixers. And the Sixers are the 6th seed. But the problem with the Sixers is the Raptors and the Sixers both have the same record. They're both 14 games back, but I believe the Sixers have the tiebreaker. Here's the scarier thing about that. The Hornets are 14.5 back, which means they're a half a game back. Nobody want to play the Hornets. Nobody don't nobody want to play the Hornets. Not right now. If I want to play the Hornets or the Hawks right now, those teams are hot. Hot like fish grease. Hot like fish grease at a black cookout in the middle of summer. Don't nobody want that. Don't nobody want to face those teams. Nope. No. But I will say this. The reason that this game for me is important for the Knicks. If you're the Knicks, you want to come out, you want to put them out of their misery tonight. You want to show the league, hey, look, come playoff time, we're going to beat these guys. These guys are on our level. Karl Anthony, and this is not even about Jalen Brunson. This is about Karl Anthony Towns. Tonight, I need Karl Anthony Towns to put up between 25 and 40. I need Karl Anthony Towns to come out there and dominate. I need Karl Anthony Towns to come out to the ATL and I need him to dunk all over the Atlanta Hawks, just like he was if he would be at Magic City dunking some wings. Yeah, I said it. I went there. This is a special night for the Atlanta Hawks, the Atlanta community. Angel Reese is now there. Who knows if she's going to show up in the building? She may not. It's the Knicks. All I'm saying is that if she does, the crowd is going to erupt. So all I'm saying is that the Atlanta Hawks are looking to make a point. Is it the playoffs yet? No, it's not. But are they looking to make a statement and tell the world what they're all about? Oh, you're damn right they are. So if you're the Knicks, man, you got to come out and you got to take this game seriously and you got to beat these girls down. Next topic. Talk about Audie Crooks. As you see, I blacked out the Iowa State and all that stuff. So here are, real quick, because like I said, we're getting close to the games and I got to get those viewed so I can talk about those tomorrow and also get the Rob John Sports Show episode 115 together for tomorrow as well because there's just a lot going on right now. So this is from USA Today, and I went over this list. I can even add some if I need to. But from USA Today, here are the lists for the 6'3" native of Algona, Iowa, Audie Crooks. Where is she going after she transferred? After she transfers from Iowa State. This is where I'll give you guys the teams. First, Oklahoma, Notre Dame. The reason Notre Dame makes sense because you can put her with Hidalgo, and they can be like a 1-2 punch. And Notre Dame did get to the Elite Eight this past year, so that could be very critical and big for them. Maryland, that's more about her stock, about becoming a WNBA player. Iowa, I don't know about Iowa, maybe, but then you would have the whole Caitlin Clark shadow, and I don't think she wants to do that. North Carolina's got some really good recruits coming in. They've gotten to some good things with the NCAA tournament the last couple of years. So North Carolina, I would say South Carolina, but then again, I don't know if she fits Dawn Staley's style. UConn, I could see her clashing with Gino in a little bit because certain reasons, or certain things, or Gino was very intense. It felt like at Iowa State things were still disciplined, but not saying she's an undisciplined player, but just like I just feel like Audie likes to do her, and I think that's important for her to go to a team where they let her do her and not try to change her too much. Some programs they're going to change you because they're just that type of program, like like a UConn, for example, even a South Carolina. Like you got to come in and you got to gung ho to the program. So it is what it is. You can't change that. So Again, very excited for Audie Crooks. She's transferring from Iowa State. We're going to see where she's going to go here in the near future. So we had our next topic. We had our talk about Audie Crooks. The next topic is Blue Jays at Dodgers. So why is this game important? This game is important because it was last year we saw possibly one of the best World Series we've ever seen. And again, that's not hyperbole. That's just telling the truth. One of the great World Series we've ever seen. These teams play tonight at 7:07. You can find the MLB app. I have that. If you have T-Mobile, hopefully you took advantage of it. Right now, the Dodgers are 7-2, while the Blue Jays are 4-5. They lost 4 straight. They play the Dodgers tonight. They play the Dodgers tomorrow night, and they play them Wednesday. If you are the Blue Jays, can you recover? Can you take these 3 games, recover, and start to play better baseball? Right now, George Springer, he's hitting what, 158. Clement, 297. Vlad Guerrero Jr., he's hitting near 300. He's got, how many home runs does Vlad have? He's got 9 hits. He's got 1 home run on the season. They're not really hitting a lot of home runs right now. It's early in the season. They're not really hitting a lot of home runs right now for the Blue Jays, but I almost called them the Raptors. But you go to the Dodgers, 7-2 start. They're playing really good baseball. They're playing really, really, really good baseball. Another weapon here, Andy Pages, center fielder. He's got 3 home runs. He's out here killing the ball. Let's go to some of the other numbers. Let's see here. Man, it's just crazy to me how you have a team that is this loaded with the Dodgers, and it feels like they're just continuing to get better. They're just continuing to get better. Shohei Ohtani, 2 home runs. He's hitting 273. On base percentage, 395. Pages again, 500 on base. Slugging 794. He's got 16 hits. I mean, it's just. Pages is 25. And just debuted last year. I mean, it just. I don't know what you can do with this Dodgers team at this point. They're so good, and they keep adding guys who are just as talented. Guys who are going to demand a huge contract either now or from somewhere else. That's how good the Dodgers are. The Dodgers are just playing with people. And but for me, when I look at this game between the Dodgers and Blue Jays, I feel like the Dodgers really need to come out here, continue to make a statement. But if you're the Blue Jays, you need to win this series. You need to win 2 out of 3 so that you can start to get momentum. You play the Twins next after that, win that series, start getting things going. You don't want to fall too far behind the New York Yankees. So I actually did my Audie Crooks topic before that, but apologize for that, but I kind of got things mixed up a little bit. I was over here getting some information going. So next topic, we're going to actually no topic. This is our Shut the Hell Up segment.
I need you to shut the hell up for the immediate future.
So do you see how I just did those variety of topics? Stop talking about the Cowboys every day. You know who I'm talking to. So tell Roy how I feel. So over the weekend, Virginia fired their head coach because they said that there was a toxic environment, bullying and, this and that, and, she and all the players were going to leave and we need to fire her and blah, blah, blah. But you know what the real tragedy of – no, I'm not even calling it a tragedy. It's not even really a tragedy. But you know what the real shame of the weekend is? While I can't get mad at UVA because I don't know all the allegations, blah, 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 because of the simple fact that, hey, look, when you have those allegations, it is what it is. I'm still not happy about what Virginia did. I'm not going to sit here and be like, hey, Virginia should have kept the coach, should have kept the coach. Listen, Virginia was going to make the decision regardless. But there is one thing that I need to know. You heard earlier I was talking about Olivia Edwards, Big O, right? You know she decommitted from Tennessee? If you're going to fire the coach from Virginia, why the hell has Kim Caldwell not been fired from Tennessee? Let me know. Let me know how Kim Caldwell has not been fired from the University of Tennessee yet. I'll see y'all tomorrow for episode 115.
It's caught in the crossfire.